The horror continues for the Arkansas Razorbacks as they fall to the Florida Gators by a score of 90-68. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Daniel Price. That's Jacob Price. Day later, we had stuff to deal with, and then we had weather to deal with, and all kinds of stuff. But maybe you're trapped in and you're looking for something to watch on YouTube, and you can watch this sad commentary on a even sadder effort and performance by the Arkansas Razorbacks. Um, I'll give you one stat before we start, Jake, and I think this stat is probably indicative of the whole thing. And the stat is this: Arkansas finishes this game with 31 rebounds to Florida's 48 rebounds. And that you might be like, okay, they got out rebounded, but it's indicative of the whole thing because rebounding is not all effort, but largely effort. I mean, obviously, like you can really try hard, and if someone's just humongous, it's tough. But they got big guys. We got big guys. These are college basketball players. You get out rebounded 48-31, and that was a big part of why you lost because it wasn't just that you got out rebounded, but that effort translates, I would assume, into other things: diving for loose balls, setting good screens, moving without the ball, playing help defense, all of it. To me, that's like the indicative stat of like, yeah, of course you're going to lose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with my. Do I look all blurry to you? It must
No.
be. Oh, that must just be my side. You look like crystal clear, and I look all blurry. But I think it's because it's 0 degrees outside, and the internet is freaking out a little bit over at my place. Um, I got Starlink and mobile data. That's it. But anyway, yeah, with Arkansas, I mean, unfortunately, this game is just kind of what we thought. I mean, we keep hoping that they'll find something, and they did even some of the stuff that we recommended, where it's like maybe they need to go zone. Maybe they like you just basically you're at the place where you're literally throwing the kitchen sink at it and just seeing if anything will work. And the zone had some things that it did, but like basically the ending was the same. Like they
Well, the zone looked kind of good, a little bit in the first half when they went to it. It took Mike, it took, or not Mike White, but it took their coach, all of the halftime to figure out how to make that not effective anymore. They're shooting floaters in the lane and getting elbow shots and getting guys diving through, drawing the big guy up, having a guy dive to the basket. Like, I mean, it didn't take a, yeah, it worked for that. It kind of looked like it was working for that 7 minutes before they had, 10 minutes of halftime for him to draw it up for him.
Yeah, and it's always that way with zone. When someone all of a sudden just changes to zone, I mean, you see it all the time where it just takes teams 5 minutes to figure out, okay, yeah, we got to totally change the way we're playing. It's weird for them to be dribbling around and not have anybody on the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eh, but ultimately, I mean, even when they were having their good run, they only, I mean, they just drew like it was a 10-point game instead of a 20-point game. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And they never really found a way to keep them from dribble driving,
What
which we
was the
haven't been
what
able to
was the
do all
most
year.
what was the most we were down in the first half? It was at least 17. Did it ever get above 17?
Um, I can't remember. Um,
Because you lose this game by
there was a when
22.
when he called the timeout and put in the second team of like trying this zone with Pinion and those guys. I think the score was like 27-9,
Hmm.
I think. And then those guys went on a little run and got it closer. I mean, like I said, got it within 10 points at least for a little while. But yeah, I mean, this is going to become a boring podcast if they keep playing the same, then the analysis is going to be the same. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like,
one of the things that's the one benefit of doing this late is having the benefit of listening to Muss's press conference. And so he did a couple of interesting things. One, the Davenport thing that we talked about last time, I think Muss agreed with that. Not that he listened to it and agreed with it, but that he was coming to that conclusion himself. And I still stand by that. I like that energy and that even though and he actually started and even though we were terrible at the beginning, I still thought he was a bright spot. He also was talking about the plus minuses of players, and he was talking about Layden Blocker and Joseph Pinion. And Layden Blocker, he didn't say which of them was, but he said one of them had I think it was one of them had a +2 plus minus for the game, which means they were +2 the minutes that he was in there, and one of them had a -1. Now, I believe those are the two highest plus minuses on the team in that game, and those belong to Layden Blocker and Joseph Pinion. Um, that's not surprising when you think back at it because you're like, well, they did chip away at a lead second half. You know, what they played quite a bit. They didn't end up losing by a ton more than they were down in the first half. So he also talked about, it is really candid as far as, someone like Pinion not being as athletic as some other guys, that's going to cost you in certain ways, that there's only so much someone like that can do. I mean, there is a ceiling, there's a maximum amount of athleticism that you can tap into. And sometimes you're going to get got, but that at this point, he wants to play younger guys because of, and we can get into this. He didn't exactly say what the reasons were, other than he wants guys that are going to give effort. And he said those guys played as hard as they could, even if they're not the most athletic guys on the team. And I think that is what he's looking for. It seems to me what Muss is looking for is effort, willingness to do like not sexy stuff, like work hard, give as much as you've got. And I don't know what's going on in the locker room. I don't know what his conversations with these guys are. I mean, you know, um, Devo plays 11 minutes, Battle plays 2 minutes, Ellis plays 3 minutes, Menefield plays 3 minutes, Lawson plays 2 minutes. Uh, that I don't know what that's about exactly. Like it wasn't like he put that Battle out there for 2 minutes. He was like atrocious and he took him out. There's something going on there where like it's not that he's putting them out there seeing if they're going to do it this time. They're not, so he's yanking them. But there's certain guys that he's just. I'm not saying he's done with them, but like there's something else going on there. I don't know if it's egos. I don't know if it's not being focused. I don't know if he just knows that he's not going to get the thing that he's looking for from them. He's seen no evidence that he's going to, so he's just not even going to hardly mess with it. I'm not sure what it is, but it is weird. Like you're in a slump. You're like desperate to win a game. You know, Battle plays 2 minutes. Pinion plays 22 minutes. Blocker plays 24 minutes. While Menefield and Lawson play 2 and 3 minutes. He's obviously searching, and
Well,
I
yeah, I
guess
mean,
I guess he just figures like I already you had your shot, and I'm giving a prolonged shot to something else now. I'm giving someone else a prolonged shot. I'm not gonna keep rolling it out there and yanking you out. Like I'm just gonna try different. I'm gonna try something else completely.
yeah, I mean, obviously it doesn't pay to say anything too definitive or emphatic because obviously there's always that sliver of hope, that slight chance that things could change in some way. The guys, something could click. They could have some come to Jesus moment. They could start to gel. And then, in that case that does happen, you actually have like, I mean, that's where the best stories come from is when, rising from the ashes of a frustrating and abysmal season and making it into something good. That's very unlikely, obviously. I mean, that's why it's special when it happens, and that's why they make movies about those kind of seasons. It's very unlikely that that's going to happen. I mean, to be realistic, this season looks bad. Like it looks like this is going to be a bad season. It looks like these guys don't work together, and I mean, and we're teetering on the edge of this being a real disaster. And by that I don't mean like for like the franchise as a whole, but I mean the body language on the bench, it does not look good. These guys look like what's going through their head is like, why did I come here?
Mm,
God dang it, I made a mistake. I should have gone. I should have. They're like their other recruiting opportunities are going through their head, and they're going, "Why did I come to this mess?" And you've seen that. I mean, I remember I've seen that in other teams. In all these previous years, you look at a team that's like, 500 and just being, getting ragdolled in the SEC, and you're like, boy, I feel bad for those players. Those guys must be just bummed that they ended up in this situation. And we're almost there. Like we're teetering on the brink of players arguing with the coaches and stuff. You know what I mean? And like throwing things on the bench. It's so far it hasn't completely crumbled into absolute chaos and disarray, but putting out all your bench players and running zone and sitting your star recruits, your five-star recruits, and your fifth year senior leader, like we're teetering on the edge of this just not being like, well, that's a disappointing season, but being like one of the worst teams in the SEC and having this be a like particular group that's a disaster. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, we're not there yet, but I mean, it feels to me like we're a step away from one of those guys just like not like starting to scream back at Musselman or something and just have it like completely lose control of the locker room. Um, I hope that's not the case, but I mean, like I said, we've said this last time, but I hope everything's all right with Devo. I mean, it's probably just that his senior year is not going well at all, and he's very frustrated. But he's playing very frustrated. Like he's making stupid mistakes. Like, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but like guy got around him and he just like, and then somebody else stepped up and then he just shoved him in the back.
yeah.
And you could see the player, even I mean, like the guy was cool. Like he walked away, but he's just shaking his head, like, and it's because those guys know like that was a bullshit. Like it did nothing. He just tried to get away with just shoving a guy in his lower back while he was in the middle of a jump shot. You know what I mean? It's like a very never going to get away with it.
Yeah.
You're just frustrated that you're getting got right now. And then also like fouling somebody with like less than a second left on the shot clock early in the game. Just he's just doing stuff that's like very, very um not smart. And like you said, we've talked about his inability to stay in front of guys. Some of that, I mean, I don't know, like he didn't get slower. I mean, I wouldn't think so yet. I mean, well, how old is he? 24,
Yeah.
22?
Yeah.
But like, I don't think he's declining his speed yet. So it's got to be a lack of focus. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's effort. That's the weird thing about a lot of these guys, and why I think actually, unfortunately, some of this is intractable and just not going to get fixed. Is there's guys like Brazil and even Jalen Graham to a certain extent that are giving effort when it comes like they're attacking the glass and they're diving on loose balls. They just don't know how to play physical and they think they are and they also don't have high IQs on defense. And I don't think they're going to ever have high IQs. Like this is not the kind of thing that it's like there's a special gift that you have or everybody has a ceiling with whatever particular like passing and defense and offense. There's a geometry to the game, and everybody's mind or IQ or acumen has like a ceiling. And these guys just some of them they play hard. They just don't play. They don't play smart, and it's not their fault. Like they lose focus. They forget that there's a guy running behind them. You know what I mean? Or it's not that they forget. It's that they're thinking they're distracted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's insane to again every time we've come on this podcast reiterate how our teams getting fast break layups off of scores.
Yeah.
Will score. I mean, you can sometimes the ball bounces way out to the 3-point line, drops in the hands of a fast guard. Everybody's on their heels. You're going the other way, and the team gets a layup, especially a team like Florida. Florida, I think if you're any team, no matter how much you plan for it, they're going to get two or three fast break buckets. They're just a fast push the ball team, but they shouldn't get 7 to 10.
Yeah.
Like you did plan for it. You know what I mean? And so I, I mean, all that to say, I don't know. I think I think that I mean it's the same, this team we're basically looking at a bad season unless that tiny little 1% chance of Musselman be able to, if it wasn't for the fact that Musselman has a history of being able to
Yeah.
like turn these things around, I'd be like, well, yeah, I mean, this
I mean,
season looks like it's
I kind of think, by the way, it was funny. I was watching the game with somebody I had not watched the game with, and his son, Graham's out there with his turquoise hair or whatever it is. And his son says, that guy looks like Dennis Rodman. I said, well, he's not. I'll tell you, I'll tell you that right now. That hair looks like Dennis Rodman. That is where those likenesses end. I assure you. But I think that like kind of your only hope is can Musselman get six guys to like just dig deep and I don't know what and who they are. I don't know. I mean, I think that Brazil's still trying. Mark's the one. Mark and Brazil are the two guys that have consistently played large minutes from the beginning and still are. Mark's still playing a lot of minutes. Brazil's still playing a lot of minutes. I think that's because I think that they are putting that effort in. I think you could tell. Uh, so right now, like, are you going to end up like, is it Brazil, um, Mark, Davenport, Pinion? uh Blocker. Are those the guys are those your so you're starting five? Like are those guys you have to play? And you just have to and you just say I'm gonna play large minutes with you guys. Maybe you could bring a Graham off the bench, and I don't know, but that's what I think is probably like your last hope. Like some of these guys are gonna be irritated and probably gonna check out and stuff. But can he get five guys that are gonna say I'll just play it and just say who's willing to play as hard as you possibly can, and I'm going to need you to do it for 35 minutes. And can you find that? And that's your hope.
yeah. And like I said, I'm not trying to be too pessimistic, but I just think with some of these guys, like I think if you take somebody like Battle, I think he wants to play hard.
Mhm.
I just don't, and it's not that it's that when he plays hard, it's not benefit when he does his version of, okay, I'm trying to prove something to coach. We've been talking about effort. I'm going to play insane and with insane energy. It doesn't matter if that just makes you foul three guys.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
for him, it's translated into fouling a guy 35 feet from the basket and walking into a three from 28 feet that at a very pivotal time in the game, and you're just like, but that's not what we're talking about.
Well, and I'm being serious with like things like I've seen Battle look, I'm like he's like, look, coach, I'm giving maximum effort. And he's just like flailing his arms and legs around on
Mm,
defense. It's like that's not how you I mean, that's using a lot of energy. You're burning some calories, you're doing jumping jacks out there, but you're not in front of but as soon as the guy like crosses over, he's around you because you
mm.
don't know how to control your body defensively. Dude, I'm telling you that I mean, I've said it every time, but I don't understand how these guys, I mean, I guess they're just young, but like that's their star player, that guy with the beautiful eyes and the freaking uh kept scoring. What did he have, like 25 points on us? And they even the announcers even said like this guy doesn't even have a left hand. But even if he did, it wouldn't matter. Like the way you watch these guys' bodies, that especially that time he went and dunked it, it's like
Yeah.
their hips, like I'm slow, so I can't stay in front of fast people. So I guard people's right hand. Like, I mean, I'm olaying them to the middle of the court with their left. If they want to drive left, because I have to, I cannot let somebody go with their strong hand. Now, they may dribble left
Well,
and then have a sick
one of the
crossover and get around me.
well, one of
But
the super
there's time.
concerning things about that was also like that besides him just going hard drive right and just blowing your doors off, was then like the help defense watched him do it.
Yeah.
Just watched him. Like you're like I'm looking at the replay, like you're in the frame and you're just like what is that? Like what are you doing?
Dude, if you know that, I mean, like I said, 90% of players have a strong right hand, obviously, except with left-handed people, and then that very tiny percentage of people that are ambidextrous, and even those ones generally have a dominant hand. And you've scouted it. Like, turn your hips where that guy cannot get to his right hand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? At least, I mean, like I said, sometimes the guy will go left and then he has a sick crossover, and he gets you turning your hips once in. But we got to at least start him to the left. Like we're standing straight with him. I mean, watch that play. The guy is standing squared up with him. Like if you and like I said, if you're fast, if you're the greatest defender in the world and you're super fast, yeah, you don't want to give him an advantage either side. If you're fast enough, sure, square up. We're not that. Obviously, we're not doing that. We are struggling so bad to keep guys from dribble driving. Like at least turn your body and put your weight to the right hand side so that he has to at least start left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, and I mean, I mean, obviously Musselman has said all that, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know why these guys they
That's like
maybe
the frustration of Musselman, like in these press conferences. People ask him questions, and like you could tell he's frustrated. Like he's like, what do you think? What do you think I'm telling them not to do these? Like, what do you think we're going over? Like, you think we're I'm not going over these things? Like, we're going over these things, and it's just not happening, you know? And yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, you have at this point, like I mean, every commentator knows it. Like Arkansas's inability to keep people in front of them is killing them. Like, so we're it makes it very difficult for us to climb out of holes because like our ability to like string together stops is not good. So that means you get down by 10, 12, you're in deep trouble because you don't put together a lot of stops. That's not what you do. Might get one, get put together two or three stops, but you're not putting together these they haven't scored in 4 minutes, 12 consecutive stops kind of thing. We're not putting those together. When to end
and
that sort of
our offense
defensive
isn't good enough. Like even if you do put together two stops, the chances that you scored on both of those possessions is not good because we're not actually we're not a terrible offense, but we're not a high powered offense either. You know what I mean?
well, in the half court, our offense is not very good. We're I mean, it takes someone like Jalen Graham, who's like a pretty good offensively. Even his offense is too slow. Like the ball sticks with him worse than I mean I've ever seen with any post player. I've never like Graham's got great footwork, and everyone always says it. I mean, everybody says it. Like the footwork's amazing. It's also slow, and I mean real slow. I mean, he'll get the ball. You've never seen a dude get the ball in the high post and take 4 seconds to get to one hash mark down. Like, and it just takes forever. So with Jalen Graham, a lot of times you're like, dude, either do it or don't do it and move the ball. But like this, you better score because you just drained a bunch of shot clock with the ball in your hands. Like getting like feeling a dude out with your back and like getting in the position that you want to be in and like that's not efficient offense. It's good footwork, but it's not efficient offense. That's not it, man. The other thing is that we don't do enough drive and kick. We don't do enough uh like ninth grade girls basketball knows about this. Like they know about taking a screen, getting into the lane, collapsing the defense, and kicking into the corner. They know about it. My daughter scores a lot of points burying herself in the corner. Like just and I was waiting for the guard to collapse that defense and just being ready to shoot. Now, blocker was like the one guy that was like finally doing this, like was finally getting into the lane a little bit and that's how Pinion got at least one of those threes. Uh, just simple stuff like that. Like that's not you saw Florida was doing it a ton. Like I mean that's simple offense where you're like, can you drive and kick at least? Like just make the
Well,
defense move.
and it seems, and like I said, we've ragged on this a bunch, and I feel bad because these, I don't think any, obviously none of this isn't an indictment on any of these guys' character or anything, but they seem like we have a bunch of relatively low IQ basketball players, and I mean that as it relates to basketball. Um, and when you, and what I mean is, I'm that way. I don't see the court very well. I get on teams. I mean, we played basketball last night, and I need a team. Like I can get on a team, and if it's a bunch of guys that don't know what I want to do or what I'm good at, or how to use me, I'm not going to help your team very much because if you start passing me the ball and like spreading it out, which I've had guys do, like be like kick, oh, it's your turn to kick you the ball at like 18 feet from the basket, and then kind of like come to set you. It's like that's not what you want me to do. You want me to set you a screen and roll, and if you hit me, I'll finish it. But like I need your help to help me score. And it feels like we've got a bunch of guys that like nobody. We need a court general, and a lot of these guys would be, and they were obviously, they could be great pieces on a team if you put them on a team with four smart players. But you can't have a team of six moderately to smart players and four not very high IQ players, and then like hope it's going to work because on offense and defense, they do things that are just the second it happens, I roll my eyes and go, why are we doing that? And again, one of them was I remember seeing us pass the ball to like a guy dribble a little bit in from the on the elbow and then pass the ball back out to Makai Mitchell 18 feet from the basket, faced up towards the basket with no one else around him and nobody open for a pass. And then Mitchell puts the ball in the deck from like 18 feet out. It's like, why are we setting Makai Mitchell up? And it's not his fault. Like he was popping out to give some room and then they pass him the ball and then no one cuts to him. No guard comes to him and takes the ball from him. So he like pivots, everyone's guarded. He's like, all right, I'll put it on the floor. It's like, of course it's a turnover.
Yeah.
Like your center is dribbling the ball from 18 feet away, and it's like, and why did you give him that? And why did nobody come take the ball from him? Somebody's got to come get the ball, and it just feels like they don't recognize, like, oh, this is not where this guy what we need. Like, this is we're at a disadvantage. Time's ticking off the clock. Our offense is not in a good spot. We got to reset quickly here. Go get somebody who's a ball handler needs to take the ball from him right there because he's stuck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just seems like we do a lot of things like that where it's like you'll even have an advantage. Someone will be dribble driving and then like they'll pass it to somebody who's in a worse position than they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at least like not an improved position. We hardly ever, I mean, I don't know what our assists are, but they can't be great.
Well,
Our assists,
this is one of the things that Musselman was talking about. I can pull that up. Let's see. We had in that game, we had 8 assists. He did say he was talking about Jeremiah Davenport, and he said he thought he played really good the first half and brought energy, and he did have 13 points and all that stuff. The problem he said with Jeremiah Davenport is that he had 0 rebounds. That is a problem. 25 minutes and no rebounds. That's not good. But he did say, but he did have 3 assists, and we only had 8. So there's that. You know. So you had
mm-hmm.
3 of the 8 assists. As other assists go, let's see. You had Brazil had 1, Mark had 2, Blocker had 1, Pinion had 1. Pinion's stat line is 12 points, a block, a steal, an assist, 2 rebounds. Yeah. Blocker,
I
14
mean, dude,
points.
those are
Blocker
not
had 14 points and uh could have more if he just shot free throws better. But Blocker had 14 points and had 4 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals, a block, 1 turnover. Yeah, I mean Blocker's stat line is not bad. I mean, that's not bad.
but those assists, man. I mean, like we badly need a point guard to help these guys out. And we need a court general and a point guard. I mean, that's obviously not going to happen. We were hoping we'd found one, but I don't know what happened. I mean, what's going on?
Benefield got into SEC play and just disappeared. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of. He still he had that great game, and then he had a not as good a game, and then he wasn't playing that well, but he got pulled, and he really hasn't played since.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played a couple of minutes, so I don't know. Like I still felt like even when he wasn't playing well, he was giving effort, but maybe I need to watch that game that he got pulled out of because maybe he's a bigger defensive liability or something than I realized. But I just thought he was at least showing passion.
I mean, the idea when you got him is that Blocker is your point guard of the future. I mean, that's what he is. He's a point guard. Yeah, he's a freshman. But I mean, and maybe this is what Muss means when he's like, when things aren't going well and I can't get what I want, I'm going to go to the younger guys. Maybe that's what he means. I mean, maybe he just means
give
I'm
him
gonna
some
roll. I'm gonna
experience.
roll blocker out there. Find out if this is my point guard next year.
Hmm.
Which I, by the way, I don't hate that.
I mean,
Especially if you're like, I don't need him to leave. I don't want him to hit the portal and think that like I don't have a spot for him or something. If you indeed want him to stay,
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, the SEC, I mean, it just looks like such a gauntlet right now.
well, dude, we got Texas A&M coming up, so that's good. I mean,
Just beat
Who
Kentucky.
just beat Kentucky?
And then, I mean, you look at like Mississippi State. I mean, they were playing really well against Tennessee. Probably should have won that game. I mean, they were up by like 10 points with 8 minutes to go. And that was, I mean, I mean, they lost by one. Like,
Mm.
so, I mean, Mississippi State's no gimme. I
Ole
mean,
Miss is good now.
I
Yeah,
mean, what like we might be we I mean, I hate to say it, but if you look at it, we might be like the third or fourth worst team right now in the SEC.
yeah.
Like the only teams that you feel like, and by the way, on the road, nobody. I mean, doesn't matter if Vanderbilt hasn't won a game all
In
year.
most people's power rankings, it's like Vanderbilt's at the bottom, then Missouri, and then us. Yep.
Well, it sucks, and I don't know how we're gonna ever win. 10 SEC games, but because
Well,
that's what
there.
we need.
Well, at least, right? You gotta win it. You gotta win at least 10 SEC games, and you've got. Let's look at it, and then we'll be done. You've got
Probably have to win 11, really. I mean, you could get in with 19 wins if other things happened.
win a couple games in the tournament, in the conference tournament or something. Let's take a look at this, and then we'll go since we're snowed in and got nothing to do here. Um, I mean, right now, by the way, in the standings, that's exactly how it is. Vanderbilt's dead last. But I mean, like Vanderbilt, Missouri, and us are the only three SEC teams with no conference wins. So we're kind of just all tied right there with the conference record. We're all 0-3. All right. Schedule remaining. Let's see. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We got 15 games. So
We got to
you're gonna
win.
need to
Got to win
win.
2/3 of
You
them.
gotta win 2/3 of your games. Seems highly unlikely. Let's just go through it, Jake. I'll give you the team. You tell me what you think. Texas A&M at home.
I mean, it's at home, so I think I'd give that a. If you made me put money on it right now, I think I'd put money on Texas A&M. I'm talking about like if you were like you have to put your
Yeah,
house on it.
yeah.
I think even at home, but it'd be close. That's like a 51-49 game. I mean, obviously they might come in here and blow our doors off the way we're playing, but I'm just
Let me put
saying
it this.
at
Let me
home,
ask you this:
desperate, you give
if you're gonna win 10 games, do you have to win that one?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
win all your home games.
Okay. So let's say they win it. South Carolina at home. So next week we get two home games. You have to win that.
Hmm.
At Ole Miss, you're probably losing.
Hmm.
Kentucky at home, you're probably losing that. Probably losing that.
Yeah, I
At
mean, you just never know. Sometimes like you get up for these games and weird
Let me put it
things
this
happen.
way. Let me put it this way. Do you think we're going to beat Texas A&M and Missouri, two out of the next four games, even though they're both at home? I don't think we're going to win both those. I think we're going to be lucky if we split those.
Missouri or Kentucky?
Sorry, Kentucky and Texas A&M. Do you think we're going to win both those games at home in the next four games? Like, or
I mean,
or you
we
feel like you're going to be lucky if you split it?
I mean, I feel like we'll be lucky. I mean, dude, I'm not joking. Like we're losing by 20 right now.
I know. I
We
don't.
may not win. We could not win a game all year. You
I'm
know
gonna
what I mean?
say
Like we might
hypothetical.
be terrible.
I'm gonna say we split. So I'm gonna say we. All right. Give me Texas A&M and M and South Carolina. There's two wins. Lose to Ole Miss, lose to Kentucky at Missouri. Have to win it. It's on the road. You have to beat Missouri at Missouri. At LSU. LSU is beatable this year. They're not. They're. I mean, probably got to get that. Um. So what is that? One, two, three, four. Georgia at home. Got to win that. That's five. Tennessee at home. We're not. I don't think that's happening. I'm gonna say we lose
Georgia
that.
doesn't look bad either.
No, but you got to beat them at home. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say you lose to Tennessee. At Mississippi State, you lose. At Texas A&M, you lose. Home against Missouri, you got to win that. That's 6. Home against Vanderbilt, you got to win that. That's 7. At Kentucky, you're going to lose that. Home against LSU, you have to win that. That's 8. At Alabama is your last game of the season. You're going to lose. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like I was, like, I got
You're
to
being
8.
generous, and you can only come up with 8.
I mean, if I was really generous, like I mean, you were saying, like maybe not. It's tough, dude. Like you're
Well, that's
gonna,
what I'm saying. Like even in like you're being generous, but like even if you're like, well, yeah, I mean, it's not like you could beat Kentucky on the road, but there's no reason. Like, how's that going to happen right now? Like right now, we could lose by 10, and it would be 100% improvement on our or on our
yeah,
differential. So
yeah,
like, we're not losing games like last year. Remember, we were frustrated with how we were shooting, but and the games were ugly, and it was like, oh man, we've lost 7 games by a total of 9 points. You know what I mean, or something like that. Dude, we're getting our doors blown off.
yeah,
We're getting embarrassed. This is humiliating. Like, there's no reason. I mean, the fact that we're even just like, well, maybe muscle turn it around is really kind of ludicrous at this point. Like,
yeah,
we're a bad team, and it's been enough games to say that by now. Like they've played, like they're not losing by 5 points. They're getting smoked out there.
yeah,
So it's not good. It's not fun.
yeah. All right. Either way, we'll be back at the after every game because that's what we set out to do. So that's what we're gonna do. Can't just do it when we're good. You know, gotta go through the lean year. And we'll. I mean, if there is some kind of epic turnaround and they go on a 10-game winning streak, obviously we want to be here for it. So here's hoping.
Dude, it's disappointing because after the football season, like I mean, during the football season, it's like, well, after about 5 games, it's like, well, bad football team. At least we got basketball coming up. I
Yeah.
guess on to basketball, and now it's like, well, I guess. I mean, there's no the football. I mean, Bobby Petrino gives you some hope, but it's like,
Baseball.
yeah, girls basketball maybe gonna start.
Baseball. They're pretty good at baseball. So there you go. I mean, we're good. I mean, I don't think this is the beginning of like a 10-year thing. I mean, I assume he's gonna do it'll be different. I mean, most of these guys are gone next year, so it'll be a totally different thing. And so I have complete faith that Musk is gonna continue to build the program, but this is definitely
What it makes you
it was
realize
like
though
this, and this
is,
is like, and I think he'll bring it back up. But
yeah, I think so too. It just makes you realize though, don't get over your skis on like these arbitrary numbers of recruiting classes and players. I mean, obviously these scouts and stuff aren't complete idiots, but
well, I think
I
what
mean, like,
happened, if I had to guess, I told you this, I didn't say this in the pod, but I think probably what happened, and I mean, I probably fell. I mean, everyone fell into this a little bit. Like everyone looked at the last 2 teams that we had, and they said, "Look, man, like it's great. Musk gets you to play hard, and they're gritty, and like their 3-point defense is top 5 in the country every year, and and they're always going to play hard, and they're going to do all the little things." Problem is, these dudes just can't shoot the ball. Like, I mean, we just go on these long, scoring droughts, and we're dead last in the SEC or in 3-point shooting, and like our problem is we just don't got any guys that can net, dude. And I think that was probably, and this isn't a criticism even, like I think that was like let's if that's the thing, that's keeping us from getting to a Final Four. If we just put the ball in the hole a little better, and we got some guys that can put the ball in the hole with like I mean we have better shooters. Like if you just lining them up shooting threes with Battle and Davenport and all these Ellis, you bring a guy that's averaging 18 points a game and all these guys. Um, but they weren't like the typical type of guys that Muss usually brings in. Muss is like, I'm going to bring in I'm going to bring in 4, 6, 8 guys that can guard every position and stuff. And my guess is he doesn't do that again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even like I said, I'm sure I hope he has learned something. I don't know what it would be, but um sometimes too, like I said, it's just a group you can have a group of good ball players and they just don't work together.
Yeah.
The pieces just don't work together. And that's what I mean about like recruiting class numbers. It's like obviously recruiters, they know when a guy's a good ball player. So that number of being the number five guy in the country or the number 25 or 50, it has some weight. Like there, it means this is this level of skilled basketball player, but it says nothing about how that guy's going to, you know, perform or succeed with any particular coach, the chemistry between the other players, like I said, injuries, everything. Like you just can't be like, well, we're top five recruiting. We're going to probably be good this year. I mean, like I said, it's not like we're a top five recruiting class. We're not even good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not like, well, you're not as good as you
Well, I
thought.
remember,
Top five. It's like,
you remember last year with Anthony Black being your point guard, and you were like, man, what a maniac at your point guard, this 6'7" dude running point. And the only thing you kind of had like, and he was great because he could see over guys guarding him and stuff, um, and you'd be like, yeah, but like, can he like really like, is he shifty enough to guard in the perimeter? Man, I freaking kill for his defense on the perimeter right now because like, what, like he wasn't like that shifty, but he took good angles and like used his bot. Like he was hard to get around because he was used his arms and his trunk to make it hard. Like, and he
dude,
was not as
last
fast.
year,
And like, dude, he was not as fast as any of these guys, but he knew how to use his body and how to take angles on defense.
yeah, I mean, I'll guarantee you, if somebody we need to get AI, somebody needs to crunch the numbers. I'll bet if you lined up how many turkeys on defense we that last year's team had compared to this year, I mean, I don't even we may not even have one this year. Like put together three stops in a row, which is like always coaches are like, "Hey, let's get three stops, defensive stops in a row. And dude, last year I'll bet we had times where we had like probably six or eight stops in a row.
Yeah.
Those guys, they could slow a game down and make it a slog. They just, like you said, they just weren't good shooters. But yeah, this year, I mean, it feels like we don't go two possession. If you get them to, there's so many times like where we get a stop and then they get the rebound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you play for the whole time, and our guys are just out of position all the time. Even when they
Or
get the
you'll get a
stop,
stop. You'll come down the other end, throw throw up a shot, long rebound, and someone's dunking it because your transition defense is down on the other end.
yeah, and some of like I said, it's not just bad luck, dude. It's bad, it's bad juju because you just don't do the little. You're not smart enough to do the little things. But seems like every time they do play well, or at least they get the stop, and it does always seems like there'll be a lot of effort. They'll be late in the shot clock. Will finally force them into like a bad shot. When that happens, and by the way, it only happens about four times a game, but like three of the four times, the ball will like go out of bounds and like go off of one of our guys' hands trying to grab it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It seems like every time they're getting the possession back somehow.
Yep.
So, but
Yep.
anyway, all right, man. Well, we've ragged on them enough. Appreciate anybody who's listening. I know it's no fun. It's just basically this will be therapy for Hogs fans now. If anybody going to be low numbers, but for those who come, this is a place of safety and to get all your frustration out.
That's it.
So,
All right, man. Well, I'll see you after the next game against Texas
yep.
A&M. See ya.
All right. See you guys.